Some stories are too strange to be fiction and too frightening to forget. Tucked away in the mist-draped hollows of Greenbrier County, West Virginia, lies a tale older than your grandmother's Bible. A tale of love, violence, and vengeance from beyond the grave. In 1897, in a quiet Appalachian village, a young bride was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Her husband wept, but behind those tears, something festered, something dark. The law turned a blind eye. The town buried her quick, but the dead were not done. What followed is the only known case in American history where the testimony of a ghost was used in a courtroom and believed. This isn't just folklore. This isn't just legend. This happened, and some say she still walks. So light your lantern, close the shutters, and whatever you do, don't look over your shoulder. This is Whispers from the Hollow, the Greenbrier Ghost. January 23rd, 1897. It began like any other bitter winter morning in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. Snow blanketed the hills, a pale veil over a quiet Appalachian village. In a modest two-story home near the town of Livesey's Mill, the warm glow of morning should have spilled into the kitchen. But there was no fire lit, no breakfast cooking, no footsteps. 11-year-old Andy Jones, the errand boy, had been sent by Zona's husband to check on her. She hadn't been feeling well, he claimed. What Andy found would haunt him for the rest of his life. Zona Heaster-Shue, just 23 years old, lay at the foot of the stairs, her head twisted unnaturally to the side, her eyes wide open as if frozen in a scream. Her hands were folded across her chest, stiff, as if someone had posed them. Word spread quickly, and when her husband, Erasmus Shue, arrived, he collapsed into wailing sobs, inconsolable, dramatic, and oddly theatrical. The local physician, Dr. George Knapp, was summoned, but when he tried to examine Zona's body, Erasmus refused. He clutched her tightly, wouldn't let the doctor near her head or neck. He said, "It's hard to say. Fainting, childbirth complications perhaps." But Zona hadn't been pregnant, and she'd never complained of illness. Not until days before her death, when she had suddenly taken to bed. The doctor marked her cause of death as everlasting faint, an old-fashioned way of saying they didn't know or didn't care to find out. At the wake, Erasmus dressed her himself in a stiff, high-collared dress that covered her neck completely. Around it, he wrapped a large silk scarf. He said it was her favorite, that she would have wanted it, but every time someone drew near the casket, he hovered, guarding her like a wolf. He cradled her head, sobbed uncontrollably, and raged if anyone touched her. The townspeople whispered. Something wasn't right, but no one dared speak out loud, not yet, except for one, her mother. Mary Jane Heaster stood at the edge of the casket, her eyes locked on her daughter's cold face. She said nothing, but inside she swore she felt it. A presence, a plea. She would not let Zona be buried in silence. The body was in the ground, the death signed off, the husband free. But the dead don't rest when the truth is buried with them. Mary Jane Heaster, Zona's mother, never believed the story, not for a second. Her daughter had been healthy, vibrant, a bright spark of life. Now she was gone. married just 3 months to a man no one really knew. A man with a past as shadowy as a coal mine at midnight. The first night, Mary Jane knelt at her bedside in prayer. She begged for peace, for understanding, for a sign. That night, her room turned cold, the fire dimmed, and she dreamed of Zona. I didn't fall. Mama. Mary Jane gasps awake, soft, startled breath. She woke with a start, sweat on her brow. Her room smelled like earth, like wet soil. She told herself it was just grief, just a mother's aching mind. But the second night, Zona came again. He got angry. I didn't make supper right. He grabbed me by the neck, Mama. He squeezed until I couldn't scream. Mary Jane tried to speak, but her voice was gone. Zona stepped closer and turned her head completely backward. Then darkness. Each night, for 4 nights, Zona returned. She showed her mother the bruises, described the attic, the fall, the final snapping twist of her neck at the first vertebra. And each night, Mary Jane begged her for justice. "Tell me what to do, child," Zona answered. "Dig me up, look at my neck, show them what he did." On the 4th night, Zona was gone, and Mary Jane awoke in bed, her hands dirty, soil under her nails. She had no memory of leaving the house. The next morning, she wrapped herself in her black shawl and marched down to the prosecutor's office. She told them everything, the bruises, the dreams, the voice of her dead daughter. They laughed at first, but something in her eyes gave them pause. She wasn't crazy, she was certain, and she would not rest until they exhumed that body. The wheels of justice, slow and rusty, began to turn, and from beneath the frozen earth, Zona was about to speak. February 22nd, 1897. In the dead of winter, under a sky thick with grey silence, Zona Histeshu was pulled from the cold earth she was buried in just a month before. Word had spread, first whispers, then gasps, that Mary Jane Hester claimed to have spoken with her dead daughter. The prosecutor, John Alfred Preston, may not have believed in ghosts, but he believed in evidence, and what he found would shake Greenbrier County to its roots. Zona's body had been preserved surprisingly well in the frozen soil. Her dress was stiff, her face serene, but her neck told the story. Her windpipe had been crushed, the first and second cervical vertebrae dislocated, bruising around the throat, ligaments torn. This was no everlasting faint. This was murder. Erasmus Shue was arrested within days, calm at first, charming even. But his story changed. Details shifted. He insisted Zona had been clumsy, that she had fallen down the stairs. The town wasn't buying it, and soon they learned even darker truths. Shue had been married twice before. His first wife divorced him for brutality. The second died under mysterious circumstances. The trial began in June 1897, and though the official case rested on the medical examination, the question everyone whispered was this: would the court allow the testimony of a ghost? Preston, the prosecutor, avoided it, but the defense made a mistake. In an effort to discredit Mary Jane, they asked her to explain her visions, to show she was unstable. What followed stunned the courtroom. She came to me 4 nights. She told me he broke her neck. She turned her head all the way around to prove it. Mary Jane never wavered. her voice steady, her eyes clear. The jury, 12 men, God-fearing and rooted in rural tradition, looked at one another. Some saw madness, but others saw conviction. Jury foreman said, "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree." Erasmus Shue was sentenced to life in prison, but he never served it long. Within 3 years he died, quietly, behind bars. Some said it was disease. Others said Zona came for him. To this day, the State versus Shue remains the only known case in American history where a ghost's testimony, spectral, unprovable, terrifying, led to a murder conviction. The law may never admit it, but the hills remember. To this day, in the hills of Greenbrier County, some claim they hear her. A woman's voice, soft and urgent, whispering, "He killed me. He killed me." So if you walk alone near the old Heaster farm, listen closely. The dead may be silent, but sometimes the truth refuses to stay buried. If you think this story is over, think again. Darkness doesn't end, it waits, and the next one might be closer than you think. Subscribe before it finds you first.